Hi, Astro friends. Melanie here on the 26th of November 2024 with the Astro Weather for the week, starting today and going until December the 2nd. So much going on in the world, no kidding. And of course, also in our own lives, which I hear a lot, see a lot, and explore a lot with you, dear clients. Lots going on. We have a lot to process. And always the question, how can these planetary energies, how can this cosmic weather that is unfolding, that is mirrored on Earth, really help us? And how can we be aligned with it? How can we actually express these energies in a way that supports us and that supports the bigger evolution? Yeah, so where to start? What to focus on? These are questions for Aries, where to start, and the focus is, of course, a SAG question. Mercury is retrograde since yesterday evening. Let the fun begin, I said in a Facebook post. And yes, we need to actually also see the humor in things, see the subtext, see read between the lines. That's all very Mercury retro. And also, sometimes we are too hyper focused with Mercury in Sagittarius on one truth, on one opinion, on one direction, on one outcome, on one trajectory, right? And then we have blinders on. So that is what Mercury retro in Sag can help us take off those blinders, take off these, the mind being so much in control and leading you in a certain direction, a la Sag. Of course, it's always about, with Sagittarius and with Mercury retro, it's about coming back from the mind that is running the show to the heart. And Sagittarius, the archer, needs to also pull that bow, pull the string of the bow back to the heart before releasing it. All right. And so we have to come back to our heart, to our heart truth, and speak from there and be guided from there, rather than tons of stuff going on, swirling around out there and being picked up by our ever so eager minds. What is going on in the astrosphere, in the atmosphere currently? There's a lot that is building up to that Sagittarius new moon on November 30th here on the West Coast and in Alberta, I believe, also Mountain Time. It is Eastern Standard on December 1st at 1:21 a.m. I like that alignment. That's pretty cool if you're on the East Coast. And the theme of one is also new moon. It's newness. It's regeneration. It's a new approach from the heart, also with Sagittarius, being in the truth of our true being and carrying the light that is in the heart before we have the evidence of light returning. It's all very apropos Sagittarius. That will be, that new moon will be also just on that transition from the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius to the second. We're now in the first, right, since the Phoenix point, and that has an Aries undertone. Aries is warrior energy. It's about assertion. It's about nowness. It's about authenticity and presence. And of course, there's lots going on in Aries, the sign as well. The North Node in early Aries and Chiron later in Aries, also retrograde. So we need a new approach in so many ways, especially in the ways of war. Not new wars, but actually bravely, courageously stepping out from the war and forward into a new way of living with one another. And so warrior energy now, a la Mars in Leo, is also backtracking. Mars will go retrograde on December 6th until February 23rd. So that also is a big impulse to help us and to push us, to show us why we need to step away from all these ego battles. And mostly wars and battles and conflict have egos involved that clash. So backing off is what Mars retro wants us, and at the same time coming to the Lionheart warrior energy and coming to joy, to celebration, to creativity, that we put more energy into rather than all these conflicts, even vicariously, right? By being allies with these or those and being so divided, so being hijacked by all the division, right? It's also going on so much this year. One of the downsides of Jupiter in Gemini, but also Jupiter shows us what's going on and why there is so much division going on and how to outgrow it. Yeah, so this new moon that's coming up on the 1st of December, if you're central or east of, and that one has a T-square and a grand trine involved. That's very technical, and I want to show you what I mean and what I find this means. So here is the chart of the new moon coming up. Sun and moon together here in Sagittarius, and Mercury retrograde approaching the sun also, backwards from Earth perspective, moving backwards, and will be conjunct the sun. That is called a new Mercury on December 7th. So there's this momentum here happening in Sagittarius. Let's start with a fire trine because that is very, very cool. Mars in early Leo. It's kind of not exact, but still in effect, right? Mars in early Leo, now stationary to go retrograde from December 6th on, and then even back into Cancer from January 6th on. So that's two fiery forces here. The sun is also rules Leo, and Mars rules Aries, where we also have stuff going on with the North Node in Aries and Chiron in Aries. So there's a lot of fiery energy going on. It's like a wide, grand fire trine, and fire is spirit, right? It's spirit, it's the heart, it's energy, life force, vitality, and truth. So all these intangible but really important factors that move us, right? Movement is literally also Sagittarian and a Mars effect. So there are opportunities here to move forward and to be moved and also move and inspire others and gain energy from that, right? So a trine is not a must, so to say. There's no pressure, but there is opportunity here, right? And trines even have a Jupiter energy to them. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so there's lots of themes recurring here, right? Sometimes called double or triple whammies, right? So a lot of energy can move in the right direction. That is not about right and wrong. It's not about wronging and judging them. It's about showing what's better, right? And what's more inspiring and what's more fun and more creative, all these things. Then we have also a square, a T-square in the configuration of the new moon. And that T-square, it's a mutable T-square. So all the mutable signs, in this case, sun and moon, the new moon is involved, and Mercury, right? And then you have Gemini, right opposite, where Mercury rules, with Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius. They are in mutual reception. They're in each other's signs and opposite each other. When is the opposition exact? Let me see. On December 4th, and so it was already on November 18th, Mercury opposing Jupiter. Once more December 4th, when Mercury is retro, and once more on December 26th, when Mercury is direct again. So there's a lot to this opposition of Mercury and Jupiter, and that gets activated with the new moon. So what's with that? And let me just show you first the full T-square, right? Because the T-square goes to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is now going forward again since mid-November, and with the new moon, with the full moon actually, with the full moon on November 15th, Saturn went forward. And so there's this bigger square going on, or the bigger background theme between Saturn and Jupiter, and that comes out with that new moon in Sagittarius. So let's first build this up from the base, so to say, of Mercury in Sag going freshly retro, and Jupiter in Gemini going retro for a while already. So these themes, again, as I already talked about, now in this context, yeah, coming back from all this mental clutter, so to say, right? And the mind wants to go in all these different directions. And so many ways, so many truths, so many stories, right? Sagittarius is also a storyteller. The stories inspiring? Are the stories manipulative? Are the stories actually lies? Right? So recognize, just from a mindfulness perspective, that a story is happening, right? And Jupiter in Gemini also says, yeah, we are really scattered here, right? There's a scattered energy. Things are going into very many directions. The puzzle pieces are not exactly coming together, and many voices, right? Gemini, and so much information is out there. Then Saturn in Pisces rules the media, right? And rules the energy field, rules the overall vibes, right? And Pisces by nature is very open, right? But Saturn says we need to regulate. We need to actually have boundaries, right? Saturn is about boundaries that can apply personally to us, right? Rather than being so exposed and open and addicted to all the stuff that's out there, and that is basically invading our energy field and can confuse us and derail us and suck our energy. And Saturn says less is more, right? That, of course, also applies to all the border situations currently, right? Openness, compassion versus boundaries. And that comes to fruition. That square between Jupiter and Saturn becomes exact again on Christmas Eve, on December 24th. It was already exact in August 19th, I believe, right, when the whole theme was opened up, opened, and news came in around all that, and at the same time, controversy regarding closing, regulating, having better boundaries, and also looking at the whole situation like Jupiter as a whole, right? It's not just the borders themselves are the problem. Also, where did all this start, right? What is the origin of this crisis? And this is a crisis of humanity that goes back astrologically to the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at winter solstice 2020 at the 1st degree of Aquarius, where Pluto is now. So there's a lot of themes here coming together, and coming to a a point, maybe a breaking point, but also a crisis point, let's put it that way. And that started with winter solstice 2020, where Jupiter and Saturn came together at first degree of Aquarius for starting a new 20-year cycle. And into that cycle also Pluto's entry into Aquarius is basically activating that and making that transformation much more real, right? Jupiter Saturn just said basically now here is a new era for our shared humanity. That is a bigger theme, but it shows up sociopolitically and economically, all these societal factors and legal factors and so on with Jupiter and Saturn. And with Pluto, it's a bigger evolution. It's basically now the process is starting and we're not going back pre-2020. And that has all sorts of implications. Of course, extremes with Pluto, often processes to be really initiated, there are extremes presenting. Otherwise, nothing would change, just like in our own lives. And the extremes, they bring out also a premonition and an early preview of where the change could go. And then, of course, extremes can clash. And ultimately, it's about a process that integrates these extreme forces. But actually, we see now, for example, in humanity, all the digitalization, all the AI taking off, technology is really taking off. What happens to humanity? I had a session with a Leo client, early Leo client, who's getting her Pluto opposition here soon, and this week, and she picked a card from the Voyager Tarot deck, the inventor, the man of crystals. That is very Aquarian, of course. And there is this kind of digital face there. And I had always just said, yeah, okay, this is all like a digital, it's like an innovative energy and so on. But she found it really scary. So it's interesting what these images can evoke, right? And where they teach us, and what does all this do to our own original creative human and our soul, right? Pluto, right? This is inalienable. We cannot, our image, our face, our digital footprint and fingerprint, footprint too, and fingerprint, they can be capitalized on, right? So a lot is happening in that sphere, and you can research about it, but we need to retain our humanity and our soul, not sell our soul to the digital gods, right? A la Pluto in Aquarius. And so this is happening in the background. This is the first new moon with Pluto freshly in Aquarius, by the way. And there will be a really significant one in early Aquarius on the 29th of January with Pluto. Also another kickoff. So for the week, let's go back to this week. There is the new moon coming, as I said. And in the meantime, Mercury went retro yesterday. In the meantime, what's going on with the moon? The moon being today still in Libra. Today it's the 26th here, Tuesday, as I'm recording this. The moon will go into Scorpio tomorrow, the 27th at 4:21 p.m. And as the moon goes now into the fixed signs, the moon will connect with Pluto. So this Scorpio moon will be is ruled by Pluto, right, Scorpio, and will be in square with Pluto at just immediately afterwards. So when that happens, there can be issues around control, right? So emotionally Do you feel emotionally controlled by individuals, by bigger systems, by what, whatever, by your own shadow, right? So all of this can come up with the moon in Scorpio square Pluto. So it's really important to process things and to come back again to the core, to the essence that can never be destroyed or controlled. And yeah, Scorpio moon is typically not so popular because it brings up deep stuff that's usually hidden and covered. And this Scorpio moon, additionally, because it will be also the dark moon, a dark before new moon in Sag, as I said, right? So we'll have the moon in Scorpio from tomorrow afternoon on Pacific. Always my times are by default Pacific. And all day Thursday, which will be Thanksgiving in the US, with Scorpio moon. Okay, so really important to find deeper levels of gratitude and togetherness, right? And rather than being in a kind of in a bind, right, or in a place where there's taboos of topics, which can easily happen with Moon in Scorpio. So again, processing emotionally, psychologically, maybe more psychologists needed after this Scorpio dark moon Thanksgiving. So just being a little cynical here. And Mercury retro. And then we have Friday the 29th, Black Friday, um, also with the Scorpio moon and Mercury retro. So don't overdo it. And why this rush? Why this whole scarcity mode again and capitalist festival? Then the 30th will push Saturday will push the moon over the Phoenix point into Sag, where we'll have the new moon in the evening at 10:21 p.m. Pacific, and as I said, at 1:21 a.m. on 1:12 in Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so this take it easy on the dark moon in Scorpio. That's the big takeaway here for the next few days. And then let light return and emerge from the heart and into the season of light, the Sagittarius new moon, always a joyous initiation. Then the moon will be on Sunday, the 1st, of course, still in Sagittarius. And on Monday afternoon, we'll go into Capricorn over the integrity point from Sag to Capricorn at 1:09 p.m. And so Capricorn moon, very grounded, and also taking all that spirit of Sagittarius and implementing it into our daily lives, walking our talk, and doing something with that energy, that heart being ignited, doing something good and realistic as well. So as I said, we are in the first 10 degrees of Sag, but that shifts on Monday the 2nd also into the central part of Sag, the 2nd until the 11th, and that has a Leo undertone. And in that week also Mars in Leo will go retrograde. So Leo, having Leo-Sag combination, is also a very heart-centered, and we don't want to make it ego-centered, want to back off from that, catering to egos and to their stories, but actually coming back to the heart, to the joy, to the inner child, right? And to all that fun. Yeah, go move the energy, Sagittarius, right? And have fun. And I'm gonna go out on a walk here anytime soon after I post and upload this recording. It's a sunny day, definitely clearly an invitation to be out and about. That's it for today. I wish you a beautiful week and might see you at the treat time special sessions that have taken off, and lots of clients are doing 2-for-1 treats. Check out the offer. It's on until the 24th of December. Very special deals. They're on my Facebook page, and those of you who are subscribed to my newsletter by email, you should have seen the offer and the news about that as well, or just send me an email and I'll get you informed. You're totally welcome to join and get a session for the new year with 2-for-1 or 22% off if you treat yourself, 33% off if you treat somebody else. Happy entry into SAG with the SAG New Moon. Bring on the joy. Bye.